So in 2014 or 15, I was recruited by Chanel. I did not expect it. It was never something I had on my dream list. I don't think it's even something that I thought that I would be qualified for. However, I did want it to become the best. That was always my thing, right? So, and when I went to in college, Chanel was kind of like was the brand that I what do you call it? I always referred to Chanel for inspiration on their finishing, on their fabrics. The fabrics that I use for my exit program, my exit project, was inspired by Chanel. So I was inspired by Chanel for a long time, and I always pull inspiration from there. But I never expected to work for the brand, and to work for Chanel as a tailor or designer. It's incredible. It's another thing to be recruited when you haven't applied, right? And so I did my thing. I took care of what I could do, which is to become the best or one of the best. And then I got recruited. I think the first time they reached out, I was like, how? Right? It was kind of like I wasn't ready for that. But this is one of the greatest experiences I've had in this job. And so I was recruited to be a supervisor in their flagship store. And there I was a supervisor of their atelier, basically their sewing room, their production room. This is where we do all the things that is Chanel when it comes to craftsmanship and production and sewing and draping and just couture. Like, this is the epitome of where you could be in fashion. And I thought about, the people who said that you can, that there was a limitation in this job, and to be at that point in 2015. I graduated in 2013, but I did do a lot of work from 2013 to 15 or 14 to be, to have qualified, I suppose. But just looking back, I did a lot of work. And so when I got the call, I was like, wow, I guess this is it. But the whole time I was still, had my side hustle, working with celebrities and things like that. So it just seemed like, okay, this is coming together. And so I guess I've always wanted to work on the upper tier of fashion. And I guess this was my choice, my time. But this is like, at least, I don't know. But yeah, it came, so I jumped into it and I did the best that I could. And working at Chanel, I learned what luxury is all about. I learned what customer service is about. I learned what teamwork. I learned sales. I even did some construction work, some architecture work, because I did 3 years in design and I did 2 years in production management. So I learned how to build factories and workrooms and things like that. And when I was at Chanel, they tapped me to basically design their new studio, their new atelier, which is, again, they asked me some questions about it. And I was like, I can help them design it. But they were like, really? I was like, yeah. And so they connected me to the architects, the people doing the work. And next thing you know, I'm designing in the workroom for Chanel, and I did, and it's one of the most beautiful ateliers in New York. I think if you want to go and see it, well, no, they're not going to let you in there, but the flagship store is on 57th Street, and yeah, I helped build that. I designed that. I designed the operations in the room, down to the color of the paint and with the position of the things in the room and all of that. Again, because I'm obsessed with what I do. Details is everything, right? And Chanel is details as well. And so this was a moment to really, everything that I learned, all my principles, they all came together, and I'm really thankful to have had that opportunity to do that. And so there, I learned again how to run a business, how to manage customers, how to marketing, sales, team building, team management, going above and beyond, discipline, presentation, all of that. It was everything had to be the top of everything. Like Chanel doesn't do like, okay, that would do. No, they don't. They will lose money to keep the brand at where it is perceived. And they also do a lot of stuff in customer care that, if you're not part of that world, you will never know. And they really do go beyond and above and beyond. And so I learned so much, man. And also seeing different products at the beginning of every collection. No, at the beginning of they'll have the collection, and when they're bringing into the store, we will always have this debrief, and they will walk us through how the collection was done, how it was to put together, the hours that went into each design, what to expect. So that this was training us too to know the product, so we can better sell the product. Right. So there were all these trainings. There were these. We had uniforms that were just supposed to represent the brand. I can't tell you, like, that experience was what kind of like sealed the nail in the coffin for me, because it was like I can't skip my boss who at the time, I want to say her name but I won't. I learned so much from that woman. Problem solving at its top tier. I learned problem solving from her. She was a woman that would never say just no to a challenge, or just deem a challenge unsolvable, undoable. There was always a solution. And so I learned from her that there's always a solution for everything. And the solution is always mostly in front of you if you learn how to look. So I learned how to look at challenges and decipher a solution, or decipher how to move forward from them. I learned team management because I had a team of 12 or 15 women who are the best in this thing that we do. Of course, they are the best because it's Chanel. We've worked on things that you have to see it, you have to be there to really like understand what this brand is. Okay, and so over time I'll talk about these things in details, but I kind of just wanted to touch base on, what luxury fashion taught me about building a brand. It taught me intentionality, right? And these are things that I've passed down to the brands that I work with, because again, I've worked on brands with people. Then when they will say, "Oh yeah, this is just the beginning. We don't have to know." Yes, you have to do these things. You have to set the tone from day one. The tone has to be set from day one, because for Chanel, there are so many things about Chanel that were, put into place ages ago, years ago, decades ago, that we were still following. And so I find that from the first day, when you depict that, okay, this is where you want to be, this is where you want to go, this is what it's going to take to get there, you start making those efforts from day one. There is no later. The only thing that happens later is you have more to do. The further you go, the more challenging it is to pay attention to details, because you're going to have people around you. You're going to delegate things to people. And so if you don't set the rule as it is, and it's in sealed, concretely sealed, they won't be able to keep the culture, the quality, the customer service, all of that. They won't be able to keep it going. Everybody's going to come and do what they want. So you need to set that up from day one. And that needs to be, top of brain stuff. You need to be always thinking about those things. And so quality, positioning, storytelling. Chanel is always doing storytelling. Every brand comes with a story, and it's not always a deep story, but it is a story that makes you want to buy into the product. And when you buy into the product, you become part of that story, right? You become part of that story. I always tell entrepreneurs to tell their story. Today, storytelling is the currency. It doesn't matter how bad your story is or how embarrassing it is. The more you tell the stories, the more people will buy into the soul of the brand. So storytelling is important. Positioning is important. Where are you putting your product? Where are you positioning yourself? Where do you want to be in the industry? That's important. Quality is important. Aim for the top quality that you can get uh, with the budget that you have, and it's possible. You don't need a ton of money to achieve quality, but you do need attention to details to achieve quality. You do need to be what do you call it, on unwavering. You need to be unapologetic about perfection, about taking your product to the level that it needs to be, so that it can be respected, and it can last when the client buys it. They're not going to buy it, go home, and then come back to you or tell people that the product is not good. These are all important things that you have to take care of from day one. Okay. And so, how to avoid beginner branding mistakes? What can I say? Like I think that's what I just talked about in the last. You have to. I think things should go in this order. First, I think you have to learn sales. And before you learn sales, you have to learn how to manage a customer. You have to know how to profile a customer. And then you have to learn how to communicate the value of the thing that you're selling. What is the value? What is the takeaway for the customer? And then your product has to be desirable, right? Your product has to be desirable, so people want to buy into it. And if you do that long enough, then your brand starts getting like that's pumping energy into your brand, building your brand, and you get to the point where your brand just speaks for itself. When people see that logo, they see your thing far away, they know that that's quality. They know that that's what quality. So consumer profile, sales, marketing, branding, each single step is as important as the next one. You can't have one without the others. You can't have one without the other. So quality, positioning, storytelling, those are the other three different points that I mentioned. And so to close, I want to talk about customer experience. Customer experience was always a huge thing for Chanel. They went beyond and above and beyond for people, for the customer to have an experience, whether it was how they welcomed them. They always had events for their top clients, the people who are returning clients. They always had events for them, champagne, chocolate, all these things. Just the selling and the storytelling never ended for 1 second. Okay, accommodations, going above and beyond, discipline. You know, the salespeople, they always had to be presentable, shaved, groomed, haircut, no. Your clothes had to be ironed and no ribs. Like, just presentable. You smell good. That wasn't negotiable. That was negotiable. We always had the competition next door, right? You also have to be aware of your competition. Dior was next door, and Dior would do its thing. Chanel would do its thing. So they had this very silent, competitive energy, but they lived right next. They shared a wall. But it was always about the customer. The competition happened at the level of the customer. Who can serve the customer best? Who can leave an impression in the customer's mind best? Who can make it so that the customer can come back tomorrow? Okay? And branding, buying at Chanel is an experience. The way the product is finished, packaged, it made you want to always shop there. It made you want to come back. Like when you receive a package from them, even when you come in the store, you buy something, the way you welcome, you're giving a drink, and if you have a relationship with one of the salespeople or one of my seamstress ladies, there are people that come in the store, and if that person that helps them is not there, they're not going to come. They're not going to shop that day. And that's also branding. That's also branding, So the store had its branding, and then the store insisted that the people inside the store also had a branding that aligned with the company brand, right? So that's something that other entrepreneurs can have too. the company has a code and everybody falls under that code. So that when the owner's not there, when the stores, when you start having more than one store, you can have this continuity of the brand, of its culture, of its goals, its operations. All of those things are consistent with each other, and so that the brand is consistent, because those things that are in front of house, when they fall apart, they show up in front of house. When operations is not doing well, they show up in front of house, and that becomes part of the branding. Oh, guess what happened today? We came into the store today and everything was a mess, or they didn't have people, or I waited so long. All of that goes into the brand, and you don't want to build a brand that comes up with excuses all the time, that isn't disciplined, that is always struggling to serve the customers. These are no-nos. So that's what I have today on luxury business, luxury fashion. If you have any questions, feel free to send them out. Thank you again. My name is Yawaye. I'm a consultant in business and art. I'm a fashion designer, a filmmaker, and I do quite a lot of business. I'm in West Africa. Today I have 3 businesses that I run, and it's because of the experience that I've had, from when I first started working, generally up until now. And so that's that's the advice that I provide. Again, because I've always strived to work for the best. I've always learned from the best, and so what I put out, or the things that I put out, I aim for them to be the best. So thank you for watching this. Like, share, comment, and keep a lookout and subscribe to, and keep a lookout for the next video. Thank you. Peace.